You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and happy birthday to the one, to the only, Matthew McConaughey. Of course, he's a Scorpio. He's got that mysterious energy about him, lots of depth. I haven't read his new book yet, but I guess it's over a year old now, but I've heard amazing things about it and about his life and his hardships. So I can't personally recommend it, but a lot of people have recommended it to me. Also, Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, I don't know what we call him now. He's a Scorpio too. Bethany Frankel is a Scorpio. Kathy Griffin. All right. And if you are a Scorpio, if you know someone else celebrating their birthday today, let us know so we can celebrate them too. And speaking of celebrations, yes, today is 1 year of live streaming. Thank you so much for all of the well wishes. I love that all of us have connected over the past year through this live stream. Oh, Rose, thank you. I hope you know how amazing it is that you created such a wonderful community. And it's only growing from here. Happy to see you all with me this morning. Nikki is here as well. Nick, going with the flow and waiting. Always going with the flow, Nick. But I appreciate that because I have learned over the past year to go with the flow a lot more. And the moon is in Pisces, so it's all about flow. We're going to be talking a lot about the Pisces moon today, and then the moon moves into Aries this afternoon. And we're only talking about Friday today. I'm thinking I'll go live again tomorrow to talk about the weekend because there's a lot going on this weekend, and it felt a little bit overwhelming to try to get it all in one video on Friday. So stay tuned for that. I also know I was trying to think of an idea of how to celebrate 1 year, and I didn't want to force it. I'm trying to go with the flow, like Nick said. So last year on November 4th, it was a soft launch. It was the Scorpio new moon last year on November 4th, and then my big launch was on 11/11. I'm thinking the next week will be kind of leading up to that because we got to let creative inspiration flow and come through as it's going to come through. But because you are all my A1s since day ones, my OGs, I would love to hear any ideas you might have for celebrating 1 year. And over the next week, you'll see a few changes with the show open as well, with the show ending, all part of this grand plan I have to celebrate 1 year, but we can't rush magic, right? And that is kind of a mantra for the Pisces moon. You can't rush magic. Pisces moon is very sensitive. It's very slow. It's all about rest and release, but there's a lot of magic in that slowdown. Rachel says the Pisces moon hit me this morning. Got some release. Feel like I'm carrying a lot of other people's energy and just needed that release. And now is the time to do it. Really, the overarching energy I see for today is this final purge and release, as Rachel was saying, in order for us to begin the rebirth process when the moon moves into the first sign of the zodiac, when the moon moves into Aries, leading up towards the lunar eclipse in Taurus on Tuesday, which feels like the opposite end of the death and rebirth spectrum, with the solar eclipse in Scorpio being the death component. Lots has been falling away, has been shedding, and then we make our way towards the full moon, the lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is this culmination point and feels a lot like a rebirth as we look into it. Now, when I say that, and of course we'll talk about this more over the weekend and as we get closer to the eclipse, rebirth isn't always this nice, pretty process. I mean, just literally think about the process of birth. All humans go through it. You know, we don't consciously remember it, but we can probably imagine that it's not the most comfortable process to come out of another human, you know? And of course, for the person birthing us, definitely an uncomfortable process too. So just because we're talking about a rebirth doesn't mean it's all shiny and fuzzy and warm. Just a little caveat there. Yes, I think tomorrow. I think it's going to happen because really the energy over the weekend is preparing us for the eclipse on Tuesday. And I think it warrants its own episode of like, okay, here's all the energy leading up to this for us to kind of align with it and tap into it so we're not surprised by it come Tuesday during the eclipse. I am excited too. Lots of fun things coming up. Hi, Katie. Thank you so much. So let's get a check on the current energy. The sun is in Scorpio. The moon moves from Pisces to Aries. And if this isn't death and rebirth energy just in one little caption, I don't know what is. Scorpio being the sign of death and rebirth. The moon will connect with Pluto today. The planet, or already is connecting with Pluto today, the planet of death and rebirth. And the moon moving from the last sign to the first sign, death and rebirth. Just the theme of the season that we're in, even fall, you know, leaves falling, dying, going into the soil to be reborn and enrich the soil for the spring. You get the idea. Let's start by talking about what's been going on with the Pisces moon today. So overnight, I'm really curious. You know, I love to ask you this. Did anybody have crazy dreams because the moon was conjunct Pluto around 2 a.m. and also at the same time was forming a trine to Lilith, and Lilith being that wild part of us that doesn't want to be suppressed, doesn't want to be held down. The vivid dreams you had might have been very powerful or even a little bit like rebellious and maybe even hostile. Let me know. I had some very vivid dreams overnight tonight or last night. First thing this morning as well. And I was convinced, just for a little humor for you all, my partner and I are doing a reset. You know, we're cutting out processed sugar until Thanksgiving. We're really trying to like get our eating back in order, feel a little bit better. And I had a very vivid dream that he was sitting in the living room with a gallon of ice cream, like generic ice cream, eating it out of the container. And I woke up feeling resentful towards him. I was like, I can't believe he cheated on our nutrition plan. And then I realized, oh, that was just a dream. But multiple times this morning, that image keeps popping back into my head. And I'm like, oh, I have to remind myself you didn't actually do that because I'm kind of annoyed with you right now. Definitely had an informative, vivid dream. That's a beautiful way to describe that connection to both Neptune and Lilith overnight. Yeah. I had a dream about my guinea pigs. Oh, they died a couple years ago, but I still feel so connected to them. And it was just weird, but the meaning is all about finding your community. That's pretty cool. So definitely a powerful dream for you. What a dream. Yeah. Passed out around midnight, woke up at 7 a.m. Didn't dream anything that I remember last night. Well, that's okay too. Wow, Katie says, I've been so challenged these last couple weeks to let a lot go. I know it's going to be beautiful on the other side, even though it's not that fun going through. Death and rebirth, baby. Crazy dreams last night. And remember, our dreams and this connection to Neptune in general tunes us into our subconscious and to our unconscious. So, you know, whatever you dreamt, if you remember it, could be signaling something deeper that you haven't been paying attention to and could help you move forward in that death and rebirth process. So definitely a potent and powerful connection to Neptune overnight, especially because of Lilith's involvement. Anytime Lilith is involved, it's a little intense, right? A little much. And then we woke up this morning under a square between the moon and Mars. This was at 8 a.m. So Rachel talking about this big release. Not only did we have a square between the moon and Mars, Let me jump back so you can actually see what this looks like, because you'll see the square pop up. Here it is, Moon and Mars. But at the same time, or shortly after, the Moon also formed a sextile to Pluto. So Mars and Pluto making these connections to the Moon both at the same time. Let's start with Mars. When the Moon squares Mars, a square is tension. It's reactivity. It can kind of blindside us. And so 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, you might have been feeling a little bit irritable or even restless. I know my partner at least woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, super restless, right when we were starting to feel this square between the Moon and Mars. And yeah, he just couldn't relax and ended up getting up super early. So that could have been a byproduct, or it could have been irritability, even anger coming up. Mars tends to bring the anger, especially when there's a square to Mars. And that reactivity as well, especially under the Pisces moon, because we are all more sensitive. The slightest little poke or jab today or this morning in general could set you off without you even realizing it's going to happen. So in general today, slowing down and allowing ourselves time to process things can be really helpful. Now, the moon is making that sextile to Pluto at the same time. You can see that dark blue line between the moon and Pluto, that 60-degree angle. Pluto, being the planet of death and rebirth, adds an intensity to this. And how I see this all playing out together is, if you were irritable or restless or provoked in any way this morning, leaning into that darkness, leaning into that discomfort can show us where there are deeper layers to be met, deeper emotions to be witnessed. And by going into the dark, we can begin the process of rebirth. So remember, you can't have rebirth without a death. You can't have birth without death, really. You know, if we were all just constantly being born, you can think of this on a collective level. If there was only birth and never death, we would all end up dying anyway, because there would be way too many humans on the planet. You know, it's all the cycle of life, the process of life. And part of life is death. You know, we eat things that are dead. Even if you're a vegetarian, you eat dead plants, you know? So there has to be death in order for there to be life. And that's part of the Pluto energy. So leaning into the darkness, leaning into the discomfort, the scariness that might be coming up today, even the uncomfortable emotions or the harsh emotions, can show us, okay, there's an opportunity for life here. How can I meet my own darkness so I can fully understand my light? Is my audio breaking up? Let me know. Let me know. My field producers. Yeah, Katie says, so irritable this morning. You can thank Mars for that. Feeling better now. Should be subsiding a little bit. And as the day goes on, our energy levels are going to pick up and our optimism will pick up too. That's the next transit we're talking about. Needing that time to process. Yeah, actually laid down and had a cry yesterday. Can't remember the last time I did that. Just on time for the Pisces moon too, Katie. You know, you deserve to have a good cry. It's good to let things out. Again, it's part of that spectrum, death and rebirth, release to refill. So I'm happy. I'm happy that you had a good cry. That probably sounds a little insensitive, but I think it's probably good for you, especially knowing your chart and how much Aquarius and Capricorn you have, like letting yourself fully feel the feelings. Great. Good for you. Proud of you. Okay, you can hear me. Beautiful. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Katie. Thank you all. My friends out there making sure the stream is working. So irritability this morning, discomfort this morning, all part of that transformative process, transformation. Even saying it is uncomfortable. But things are lightening up this afternoon. The moon is conjunct to Jupiter at 3 p.m. at the anaretic degree, at 29 degrees of Pisces. So we're already starting to feel that right now, especially with it being at this critical degree, the final degree of Pisces. You can see what it will look like. It's interesting because this is happening, Jupiter being at the anaretic degree of Pisces and the moon conjunct to Jupiter. I don't know if you've all seen, but the Powerball is up to the highest jackpot it's ever been. And I told Julian today, I said, we have to go get a Powerball ticket as the moon is conjunct Jupiter. So maybe a little tidbit for you too, if you're into that. We don't normally do the Powerball or the lottery, but when we have an opportunity and when I know that astrologically luck could be on our side, we lean into it a little bit, right? I'm just saying, if you happen to win the Powerball because of this guidance, I wouldn't mind for you to sponsor the live stream. I wouldn't mind it. Just putting it out there. So the moon conjunct Jupiter, this is 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. This is a moment of optimism, spontaneity, adventure. Jupiter is all about expansion and growth. So it could be this burst of energy that comes through with the moon conjunct Jupiter, almost an overwhelming surge of energy. Leaning into that spontaneity can actually lead us to good fortune during this transit, but it's also important to note that it could be a little bit much, and you could feel even a little bit anxious because of the moon and Jupiter at 29 degrees. The 29th degree, the anaretic degree, brings that restless energy, and with Jupiter being there, we know Jupiter can be a lot, right? It just magnifies everything. And especially when we're talking about the 29th degree of Pisces, it's amplifying our sensitivities. So you might be feeling a little bit of stimulation overload this afternoon. Just know that you're allowed to take a step back, but if you lean into this energy and almost lean into the restlessness and do something with it, you could lead yourself down a really fun little path. So full permission to have fun, be spontaneous, go a little buck wild this afternoon if it feels good for you, and know that Jupiter conjunct the moon brings good fortune. You might also have some really big creative ideas or visions come through with this happening in Pisces, and those could lead to good fortune as well, with Jupiter being the planet of good luck. So inspiration can come through. Creativity feels really big today as well, and could be a really great outlet for the big emotions that are coming up with this Pisces moon, making all of these really powerful connections. Creativity is a really great way to release energy and do it just for the sake of doing it and feeling good and allowing your expression to come out of you. So if you're a creative person, and I think we're all a little bit creative on some level, today's a really beautiful day to lean into that. And especially if you're feeling anxiousness or overwhelm, like drawing a little bit, moving your body a little bit, being silly, being fun, leaning into joy too with the moon conjunct Jupiter can really help release. So be creative today, my friends. Listen, the death and rebirth is not easy, says Corby. You said it. Happy to be fully yielded to this process. And that is all we can do. That's all we can do, especially in eclipse season. All we can do is just surrender to it. We are right where we are supposed to be. Wise words, my friend. Wise words from Corby. Yeah, might try a Powerball today too. Normally skip it. Nick, you could be the next sponsor of transits today if you win the Powerball. I'm just saying. Secretly trying to make the Powerball winner work for me. I'm just saying. It could be nice. Just because you believe in something does not mean that it's true. Bob is back, our friend Bob. Thank you for that beautiful quote from Albert Einstein. And just because you believe in something doesn't mean it's true either. And what a beautiful world we live in, where we can all respect each other's beliefs and have spaces like this where our beliefs are aligned and we can share with each other and chat with each other and love on each other and support each other and support our beliefs. Just saying. Woke up and felt that theme of my morning, magical and whimsy, to create and birth new things. Yes. Yeah, I was just talking about this on my Instagram stories too, talking about how I had all this pressure and these high expectations, typical Virgo, of, you know, this 1 year anniversary and all these things I was going to have done for it. And really feeling into that Pisces energy, there is this lull, this rest where magic and creativity can come through if we slow down enough to open our senses and allow it, right? So I love that Corby said this, magic and whimsy. And for me, the Pisces moon just brings permission to let things flow through as they're going to flow through, you know, to surrender a little bit and trust in the creativity that's coming through. Rose, thank you so much. I appreciate this more than you know. What a generous contribution. Sending you so much love, and I just hope you know how much we all love having you here. Truly, I feel like one day, all of you who are watching now and a few others who might not be here have been here like every day all year, and one day we'll have like a group meetup of the original Transits Today crew. One day when I win the Powerball, I'll rent us all a house in Mexico or something, and we'll all go on vacation together, do the live stream together, or something fun like that. We're manifesting it. We're dreaming big under the Pisces moon with that Jupiter conjunction, amplifying our ideas, amplifying these visions we have. Just got to put it out there. Beautiful. Going to yoga class tonight, relaxing sauna, detoxification. Amazing. We are sending love to Bob. Yes, we are. That's all we can do is send love to people. Yes. Really feeling that need for the slowdown. Planning on taking the time this weekend to relax. Wouldn't that be so fun to all meet up in person? Yeah. Beautiful. I see it now. Yeah, Brie, you'll be there. We're all going to be on the beach in a fancy villa somewhere tropical, talking about astrology. Thank you, Nick. If he won the Powerball, he'd share some with me. I'm going to hold you to that if you win. I am going to hold you to that. That would be so fun to meet each other. Okay, so I know, Rachel, I know you said that you want to slow down this weekend, but the moon is moving into Aries. So let's talk about that. The moon jumps into the first sign of the zodiac, into Aries, just after 4 o'clock this afternoon. So 7 p.m. Friday night for you on the East Coast. And it's a waxing gibbous moon. So we're making our way towards that full moon. The energy is building. And with the moon in Aries, it does feel like this fresh start, this new surge of energy. So before you decide, okay, I'm not doing anything this weekend, wait until the moon moves into Aries and see how you feel. You might get a new surge of energy. Now, it's also important anytime we're talking about these things to take note of where the moon is in your chart, because, for example, if you had Aries ruling your 12th house, it might really be a slowdown for you. But in a general sense, the energy could pick up this weekend, and really a fun transit to head into our Friday night. We are probably going to be feeling like ready to hit the ground running with the moon at 0 degrees of Aries this evening. It feels like the start of the rebirth process with the moon moving into Aries leading up towards this full moon. At least that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm seeing. We can experience a renewed sense of purpose, motivation, drive, confidence, all of these energies associated with Aries, with the moon moving through Aries through the weekend. So the moon, I believe, moves into Taurus on Sunday at some point. I'll have to look into it and tell you all tomorrow for a special weekend live stream. But the Aries moon could pick up the pace a little bit and give us a little boost of energy and motivation again. Now, if you're still feeling the need for release, again, we've been talking about this all week. It feels very counterintuitive with the moon transits this week because it's eclipse season and there's just a lot of shedding rather than, working towards our intentions. But the moon in Aries could feel like just stepping into fresh energy. As I was saying, if you are still feeling the need for release or some restlessness or some anxiety, move your body under the Aries moon. I say this every time the moon is in Aries. Moving your body helps you process your emotions, especially when the moon is in Aries, this very physically motivated sign. So you don't have to hit the gym. You don't have to do a full workout. Even what I think it was Nikki, what she was saying about going to a yoga class, gentle movement, detoxification, really focusing on the body under the Aries moon can help you attune to your emotions. Don't tell me that. Hopefully it'll give me that boost then. either way, we know what to do, right? If we're feeling a fresh start, work with it. Take advantage of it while it's here. We know, especially when it comes to the moon and our emotions, that we got to ride the waves and take advantage of the energy as it comes to us. But like I said, if you're still feeling like you need release, move your body. It's a great way to tap into the energy. Yes, this moon screams adventure and fun and fire. It's a busy one ahead for me. It's interesting too, because we talk so much about fall and the slowdown, but our world picks up a lot in the fall. We have a lot of events we're going to, fall events, Halloween events, Thanksgiving events, holiday markets, all these things. I know basically the rest of my year is like booked out at this point. So again, taking the surges of energy as they come and knowing that in general, the pace is going to get slower and slower and slower, but that doesn't mean we don't hibernate. We're not in full hibernation mode. So I love that we're leaning into the fire under the Aries moon. Never calling you out, just loving on you, Rachel, just loving on you. Katie's husband has Mars in Aries and is going to an event with lots of potential for networking. Ooh, yes. And the moon will be near his Mars, hopefully. So he'll get that burst of motivation, really step into his masculine and put himself out there with the moon conjunct his Mars and just that Mars and Aries energy. He's probably a little fiery when he gets going. So I'm excited for him. Your Mars is in Aries too, Corby. Something every day this weekend. I'd love to slow down, but it's just not happening yet. That's okay too. Remember, it's seasons, especially in just the moon cycle. Like this is the time where the energy is picking up. So after the full moon next week, you might feel a slowdown. You might not, We'll see. We'll take it day by day. But eclipses are also notorious for things shifting very quickly. So yes, there's been a lot of release and shedding, but it's making room for big shifts to happen. And as we talk about through the weekend and with this lunar eclipse, it has the potential for really big changes, really big lessons, and it's kind of bringing some drama, but not in a bad way. Of course, we'll get into it next week and talk about it a little more tomorrow, but if it feels like you're wanting to slow down and things aren't slowing down, just meet yourself where you're at and be open. Be open to whatever the universe is bringing you. Your Mars in Gemini. So you like things to be quick too, right? And very social. So those are the transits. The Aries moon doesn't make any connections tonight. It'll just move through the first degrees of Aries. And then over the weekend is when it'll start to connect with other planets. And what you'll notice right now, if you just look at the chart, is that we'll have days where there are lulls with the moon because, we don't have any planets under 10 degrees right now. So the first 10 degrees of the moon moving through any sign, it's not going to make any connections right now. Then we get a little surge of connections right here where all these planets are coupled together. That will be what we're talking about specifically with this lunar eclipse. And then we get a little baby lull after that and another little burst of energy with all the planets at 25, 26, 29 degrees. So just to kind of give you an overview of what the moon is doing in general right now. It's like connecting with a bunch of things, taking a pause. Connecting with a few other planets, taking a pause. And it could feel like surges of energy coming through in that sense too. Maybe the Mars retrograde will balance out this fiery energy. Lots of movement, but reflection as well. Yeah, and Mars retrograde, as we talked about last weekend, Mars retrograde is slowing things down, but we've been feeling that for a couple months now. And rather than it just being the pace entirely slowing, because Mars is still in Gemini and it's still, we're still doing a lot of things. Mars is in Gemini through the entire holiday season. So yes, it's retrograde, but we're still doing a lot of things. There's just an element of reflection, like Katie is saying, about what really feels good while we're doing it, and I think that's where the potential of this transit lies if we use it to our benefit, just being in that reflection of like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Does it feel good? Am I getting anything out of it? Do I want to keep doing this thing? And we can only really have those realizations by doing them, doing the things that we're doing. Okay, I'm going to stop saying doing, but you get what I'm saying. So yes, a reflection of how we're spending our energy. Mars in Scorpio. So does my partner. That's an intense Mars placement, let me tell you. So that's when the void moon will be, when the moon doesn't make connections. Actually, the void moon is only at the very end when the moon doesn't make any more connections. And because Jupiter's at 29 degrees right now, we're really not getting a taste of the void moon for a while. When we have high degree planets like that, it's basically like what's happening today. The moon is conjunct to Jupiter, and then it immediately moves into Aries. So we don't really have a void moon today. It's only at the end of the transit that the moon is considered void. But that was a great question. Okay, let's come back to our affirmation of the day, really leaning into that death and rebirth energy we've been talking so much about. I release to be reborn. I release to be reborn. And, you know, release and shedding is such a powerful component of this whole cycle of life. Because if we are constantly holding on to past energy, we really can't fully step into the next version of ourselves if we're energetically tied to the past. So under this Pisces moon, letting things go, letting things flow, and giving yourself the space and the time to step into your next evolution, to step into the next evolution of yourself, of your emotions, of your confidence, of your motivations as the moon moves into Aries. Okay, good. I am glad that added some clarity for you. Thank you for bringing clarity to the relationship of Mars retrograde and the moon in Aries. Of course, I got you. Okay, while the moon is still in Pisces, I want to pull from the Starseed Oracle. This color just feels like Pisces to me. I'm very color focused, I realized. And because, you know, color is energy. And so we're going to get a little woo-woo with the Starseed Oracle, take advantage of the last few hours with the moon in Pisces. Rachel says, I never realized until now how freeing it is to let myself shed. I feel like I'm finally making some progress. And what's really beautiful about life in general is that even when we don't feel like we're making progress, we're usually making some kind of progress. It's all part of the process. Everything happens in divine timing. So even, you know, in the waiting, in the lull, in the feeling stuck in it, there's still progress being made because you're allowing yourself to feel those things. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the evolution. So I'm so proud of you for really leaning into the shedding and the release and letting yourself, you know, especially with all your Virgo, Scorpio energy, I relate. And there's this element of wanting to be in control of things. And that's not really conducive to just like letting go and shedding, but you're learning. And that's amazing. Katie says, this Scorpio season has really amplified my progressed moon. Yeah, I feel that Sagittarius progressed moon coming. The fun is coming, Katie. Time for fun and adventure, but I got to get rid of what doesn't serve me first. Yeah, and that's Scorpio energy too, right? Like letting it die, letting it go so you can be reborn again in Sagittarius season or with your Sagittarius progressed moon. I do have a question. Do you have any book recommendations for astrology to learn more? Yeah, there's this book called The House Your Stars Built that I read last year. It's a really quick read, but it's a nice breakdown of the planets, the houses, the energies. And sometimes I think astrology books can be really overwhelming, the big books. So that one, you know, you could read in like a day or two and just get a nice overview. There's also a book I have on my shelf back here called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. And that is a bigger astrology book, but it really goes into the details of everything. So I recommend those two. Also, my favorite astrologers, the Astro Twins, every year come out with, what's it called? I'm looking on my shelf here. They're like year-long horoscopes. So I'm assuming their 2023 one will be coming out soon. And it goes through all of the transits of the entire year with their commentary. So those are a few suggestions. If you want the exact titles, just DM me on Instagram and I will send them to you. Yes, the release before we advance. And specifically, you know, we've been talking a lot about moving from Pisces energy to Aries energy, but Scorpio, as Katie touched on, her progressed moon moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius, that's a little preview of the energy between Scorpio season and Sagittarius season. The release, the death, before the growth. Sagittarius season is all about growth and expansion and abundance. So we got to release the things holding us back, the things that are kind of hiding in the dark, weighing us down, in order to really fly like the phoenix and grow in the next season. Yeah. Yeah, this eclipse season really pushing you to lean into that progressed moon cycle. Beautiful. Astrology of the moon. Okay, I've never heard of it. I'll have to look into it, Katie. Another book suggestion. I've got a lot of Virgo Scorpio energy in my chart, Nick says, but a lot is beyond our control. Trying to go with the flow and making some small progress along the way. And you are wise to go with the flow with all of that Virgo Scorpio energy. Yeah, I'm sure that you've learned a lot along the way in your life to help you get to a state of flow. Okay, Astrology of the Moon by Amy Herring. I'm going to look into it. You are so welcome for those book suggestions. Okay, whether you're joining me live or finding this video later, let's all take a deep breath together. Here we go. Breathing in and release. What do we need to know? Star Keeper. Cosmic ancestor. Seed the light by staying grounded. I love this card. It almost looks like it's glowing or shining or something, especially on the live stream. Okay, let's find out what it means for us. All of us star keepers. Where are you, Star Keeper? There's a lot of star cards. Here we go. Star Keeper. You are an ancient keeper of the stars, here to anchor and seed your light in your unique way. You've likely been incarnating on Earth for some time, dedicated to an era of awakening and bringing about a long-awaited shift in the planet's evolution. We're at this tipping point now. The survival of Earth and all its species is coming to a head. The more grounded you remain during this transition period, the more helpful you'll be. The more you tend to the flames of your own heart, the more love you'll anchor onto this planet. The wisdom of the stars is imprinted in your soul. The more soul fragments you call home, the more this wisdom is seated here. You may be called to be in different places in the world to anchor this light, perhaps by taking a trip or living in a certain location. You may also find yourself experiencing awakening symptoms. The more grounded you remain, the more stable Earth's energy will become, and the less reactive humanity will be. You're here for a double mission: to grow as an individual and as part of a larger collective that's bringing about a shift in frequency. Trust that you can be in the world, but not of it, and lead a truly glorious life. Ooh, and I have to tell you, this card is on page 111 of the guidebook. Just saying. I love this. I love that the key message here is remaining grounded, because we can only ground light, ground inspiration, bring through creativity, all things we've been talking about, and fully be reborn if we are grounded and stable. And as we make our way towards this lunar eclipse in Taurus, this full moon and this very grounded earthy sign, we can lean into that grounded energy and know that we are good. We're good. We can remain in our bodies. We can feel all the things and stay rooted here because we can handle our own darkness. We can face anything if we just stay rooted and grounded in our values, in our purpose, in our community. And I think it's also a reminder too, with some of the reactive energy we've been talking about today, finding our ground again, getting grounded again can help us support other people working through maybe some more reactive energy or going through their own transformation. And I also love that this card talked about being part of a collective that's raising the vibration, because all of us here together every day raise the vibration. And then, as we always talk about, there's a ripple effect among your community, among your children, your parents, your friends. And the work we're doing here together is so important and so beautiful. And we've all been called to be part of this community for a reason. So just remember, you are a star keeper. See the light by staying grounded. Bring in the light, be the light by staying grounded. Oh, look who showed up. Yeah, I feel this card speaks to my Aquarius energy. Totally, Katie, because Aquarius energy can be very ungrounded, right? Very airy, very spacey. But the magic happens when you can take all of that creativity, those different perspectives, and bring them into physical reality. And that might sometimes be a challenge, but this card is telling you you're capable of it. Ground all of those perspectives that you have. Ah, Rose just signed up. I saw your order come through on my phone for transit tracking. That's okay. I'll send out links to the Zoom meetings too. And when it gets closer to January, of course, we're a ways out, I'll send you all a poll to figure out the best time for us all to meet that the most of us can be there for. Yeah, we love the energy. We love the angel numbers. My motto is, when in doubt, use an angel number. Love it. Grounding through my earth energy. Yeah, and you have so much of that earth energy too. So taking all of that Aquarius woo-woo out there and bringing it into your Capricorn and solidifying it into your purpose is going to be really helpful, specifically for you and your chart. Speaks to you on so many levels, including the numbers. And 111, 111 is all about new beginnings and rebirth. So very much aligned with what we've been talking about. Aw, thank you, Marissa. You are amazing. I hope you have a beautiful day as well. Yes, and protecting our energy. Staying grounded also means protecting our grounded state, right? And that can be really helpful, again, when we're feeling chaos, rebirth, death, all these emotions that are coming up today. Even physically grounding, like if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, as we talked about with the moon conjunct Jupiter, even with the moon moving into Aries, with the reactivity of this morning, going outside, putting your bare feet on the earth, grounding for 5 minutes, you're literally grounding light. Like one of my mentors always says, like, we're just like plants. We take in light and ground it into the earth. So go be a plant today. Be a star keeper. Ground your light into the earth. Have an amazing weekend, Katie. I think there's going to be a live tomorrow. Well, I'll just say it. There's going to be a live tomorrow because we got to talk about what's going on. Just a little preview for you of what's happening tomorrow, so you know why it needs to be its own episode. The sun is conjunct to the south node tomorrow. Also, let me see. I'm looking at the list of transits here. Venus is opposite Uranus. That's big changes in relationships, right? Or in finances, in beauty as well. I would say don't do anything drastic to your appearance tomorrow. And also, I know there's one other transit. There's 3 things happening on Saturday. Let me see. So one more. Why can't I find it? Venus opposing Uranus. Oh, and then Neptune trine Lilith. And this is something that we've been feeling and kind of touching on over the past week or so. It's an extended transit, but you can see it on the chart here. Venus trine Uranus, and it's exact tomorrow. So, or did I say Venus? I meant Neptune and not Uranus, Lilith. What am I even talking about, you guys? Whew. I need to eat something. Okay. Neptune trine Lilith. Who knows where Venus and Uranus came from in my brain just now. But we will be talking about them tomorrow too. So anyway, we have a lot to go over, which is why I wanted it to be its own episode. And we'll talk about Sunday as well, because on Sunday, Venus is squaring Saturn and Mercury is conjunct the south node. So there are so many heavy hitter transits that I just think it needs to be its own thing. And all of these transits we're going to be talking about over the weekend are going to be major players and major contributors to the energy of the lunar eclipse on Tuesday. So we'll get into all of that tomorrow. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Friday. The moon will be in Aries when I see you next. Lots of fresh energy and motivation. Yeah, beautiful. Going for a walk, talking to your dad. Love it. Love it. Have a great rest of your Friday, Corby. There's a lot to talk about tomorrow, so I'll see you then. If you are new here, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep these videos coming to you for free every single day. And I'll see you on the flip side. I'll see you on the weekend. Love to you all. And thank you again, Rose. Thank you for my 1-year gift, making it feel extra special today. Lots of fun updates coming in the next week, I swear. All right. See you all tomorrow and stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.